What is going on, everybody? Gwen is not going to be joining me tonight. It's just going to be myself, my guest, and I think Sean may pop in every now and again. But tonight we have a very, very awesome guest. I've met this guy multiple times now. Great conversationalist and an overall awesome human being, to be honest. And I'm honored to have him on the show. We were trying to work it out, and luckily we did. So tonight, my guest is Christopher J. Brown. He's a psychic medium. And I think that this is going to be an amazing conversation. So without further ado, let's welcome Chris to the Paranormal Unveiled family. Chris, where you at?
Hey, man.
What is going on, brother? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I truly appreciate it.
No, absolutely. So as I said, we've met a few times. I think the first time we met was it the Connecticut Paracon or was it Salem?
So it had to be Connecticut. Yep.
Yep. So yeah, and then we had the Wilson Castle event last Friday, which was amazing. So overall, I think this is going to be a great show. Would have started off with one question that I typically is going to be my normal starting off question when I have psychics. As I told you, you're the second one I've had on the show. So let me ask you, do you believe there's a difference between a psychic and a medium, or are they one and the same if you look at it as a whole totality?
That's a great question. So it's kind of interesting how I think about it. So the word psychic medium, I think that mediums and psychics are different in a sense. Psychics kind of delve more into like your personal energy, the energy of the living, their past, their present, and their potential future. I always say potential because I personally don't think the future's set in stone. I think that there are, like butterfly effects that could happen, or, that there's free will also. I as a psychic, I could say, hey, in 6 months from now, you're going to sign those papers and then you're going to move on to a new apartment. And then you could be like, yeah, no, it's not for me. And then it changes the whole dynamic. You know what I'm saying?
Fair.
So that's why I say that. But so yeah, psychics kind of do that. I think that mediums delve into more of the consciousness of the people who have passed. Loved ones who passed away, or energies that are in certain haunted locations. So the energies of the people who are departed. Now, the reason why I choose, and a lot of probably other psychics use the word psychic medium in tandem, is because you got to use the same faculties to do psychic work as you do mediumship work. And what I mean by that is like the clairs. Have you ever heard of the clairs?
I have not.
So like clairvoyance, right? I'm sure you've heard of that.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's like clairvoyance, there's clairsentience, there's clairaudience, there's claircognizance, all these different things. So all of those things go towards doing psychic work as well as mediumship. So that's why I think those words are used in tandem.
Okay. I like that answer. Actually, that's a very good answer. So you grew up or you were raised in Portland, Maine, correct?
Yes, sure was.
Okay, so you, in your bio, I noticed you said that you were brought up in a haunted house. What kind of experiences did you have there?
So it's funny, man. I literally call that house the cliche haunted house, because like everything that you could imagine, or everything that we talk about that we seek as ghost hunters, happened in this house. From like shadow figures to there'd be like knocking on the door, and I'd be like, "Who's there?" Nobody there. My bedroom door, right? The wildest thing that happened to me there was, I'll tell you this story. I don't know if I've said this story much, but I was going to the bathroom on the second floor, right? And I was getting ready to take a shower. And outside of the bathroom, there was a pull switch light, in one of those old school ones, right? Really unassuming, nothing crazy about it, right? So I go into the bathroom. I'm like, oh, I got my shoes on. I also need a towel. The towels were downstairs. So I go like to the vicinity of this pull switch light. I bend over, I put my shoes down, I go downstairs, and it's around my neck, like in a noose style, right? And I just, I choke back, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, what the hell was that? No explanation for this whatsoever. I tried to recreate it. I couldn't recreate it. It freaked me out. And at the time, I was a young teenager, dealing with depression, things like that. So people probably would have thought that I had friggin' committed suicide. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that was like one of the wildest things that happened. Shadow figures people would see. You would think that my mom was watching soap operas or something downstairs. You'd go downstairs, my mom wouldn't be home, TV would be off, like voices happening that weren't there, things flying off the shelves that were there for years that never moved, just wild shit, man, like stuff that I've been chasing ever since. So that's
that we never ever see.
Yeah, like we're always like, oh, I want to see the chair move, or I want to see the, whatever. And so like, I've been chasing that so much. And funny story is I recently had something as close to that happened in Pennsylvania. It was wild.
So at this point in time, did you know that you had these abilities yet, or was this just experiences you were having? Because if I remember correctly, what you had said was you didn't realize you actually had these abilities until you had investigated an old seminary.
That's correct. Yeah, absolutely. So at the time when I was living at this house, like I would say things like, "Oh, I can feel when there's a ghost around." You know what I mean? But I didn't have words like medium or psychic or anything like that, or like any knowledge of the metaphysical. Like I was a teenager and I was into playing games and smoking weed. That's all I gave a shit about, you know?
Fair.
So like, it just wasn't on my radar, but I would say things like, "Yeah, I could feel when there's a ghost around," you know? And it was only when I got older that I did go to that seminary where I started to realize, okay, what does it mean to be a medium? What does that look like? Et cetera. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, at the time I had no idea, no clue.
Interesting, because I know some people claim you're born with the ability. You just have to recognize that you have it.
Right. No, I definitely was. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I was born with it and I'm just a late bloomer. I have no idea. I'm actually really envious of other psychics and mediums that say that they've been doing it their whole lives, because I'm like, well, shit, like that would have helped me out going through life, you know.
Right.
Like I was like 30 when I figured it out.
Oh wow. Okay, so really late on.
Yeah.
That's interesting, because I know, like I said, I know some psychics say that you're born with it, or everyone is born with some form of ability. It's just
Sure.
you have to recognize what that ability is and how to harness it.
I can agree with that to an extent. You know what I mean? Like, and I've talked to a lot of mediums too that say like sometimes it takes a triggering moment. You know,
Right.
sometimes it takes like a tragedy or a trauma or like something really, you know, that life shifting for you to be like, okay, that light bulb just went off. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. Because there's a huge link between people who have such abilities and NDEs, or near-death experiences.
Oh man, I've had a few.
I know that a lot of people will claim they never had any kind of abilities before, but then they had some kind of near-death experience, and all of a sudden they're encountering these things that they never had to deal with their whole lives.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that too. I've had two near-death experiences. One was more positive. One was, I'm not going to say it was negative, but it wasn't what I experienced the first time around. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Yeah, so it's just kind of crazy to me how some people claim they have it their whole life, and then other people, they have to have that triggering moment. Similar to
Yeah.
how, like a skeptic, you know, if you bring a hardened skeptic into a place, they will not become a believer until they experience that one thing that they're like, you know what? I don't know what the hell just happened.
Right.
And you know, and I love it when moments like that happen, because even with myself being skeptical, I'm a firm enough believer to know that there's something out there that I can't explain.
That's great. That's great.
So can I ask you, since you were at the Wilson Castle event and you got to see me unveil these, what did you think of the pendulum stabilizers?
I really thought those are cool, and I was wondering if you, I don't know if you remember me mentioning this, but I really am curious as if you put an EMF pump on those things, if
Yes, I
that
do
would
remember
change
that.
the dynamic, right?
I do remember
I
you
thought it
mentioning
was a
that.
super cool idea. I really like where you're going with that. I really like taking the human element out of it. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah, the micro
when you're
shakes.
holding something, it can easily be, even the slightest vibration or movement could affect what the pendulum is doing. So
Exactly.
I really like that you thought of that. Yeah, I that was cool.
I think it's going to be an interesting concept once it all gets up and running. So tell me about this book you've got, and I heard that you're working on a second one.
That's right. Yeah. So the first book is called "I Fucking Knew It,"
I love
and
that.
yeah, thank you. I swear the name sells more copies than the content, but
I mean, you had me sold at the title, so
well, thank you. I appreciate that. So that one kind of just it talks about how I kind of got into the paranormal, how I discovered my abilities as a medium. And then there's a little bit of motivational stories that I had written when I was becoming a spiritualist minister. So that was part of like my training, was I had to write 3 or 4 inspirational speeches or inspirational talks based on real life, you know, and so that's what I did. Those are in the book as well. And there's somewhat of a channeled text towards the end that I feel like was more automatic writing, which I don't always do. And I haven't done it since. I just felt compelled to do it at that particular moment. So that's what the first one's kind of mostly about. My second book, which I haven't released yet, which I'm really trying to soon. I'm just trying to figure out the logistics, for lack of a better word. That one kind of digs more into like my mental health and my history with drug addiction and things like that, and how that might have affected why I became more into drugs and alcohol, like to kind of drown out what was going on in my mind. And also like with the mental health stuff, like I'll tell you a little briefly about it. Like there was a time when they said that I was like, crazy, right? Because I heard voices in my head and I didn't know what they were. And the doctor said I had something called schizoaffective disorder, which basically means you're hallucinating voices.
Right.
The difference with mine, though, was that I didn't have, like, it wasn't negative. It wasn't like you need to kill yourself or blah, 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 all these horrible things that people go through. It was just murmurs, just unintelligible murmurs that I couldn't quite figure out. Funny enough, when I started looking into and becoming a medium and training myself to do this work, they stopped. Cold turkey, just done. And so I feel like truly that it wasn't that I was crazy. It was that I just was an untrained medium. And that's the name of the book. The new book is The Untrained Medium. And I'm in hopes that it helps others who might be going through that same thing realize, hey, maybe you're not crazy. Maybe you're just experiencing mediumship on a level that you don't understand. So if it can help people in that way, then mission accomplished. And I hope I'm able to do that.
Right, and it sounds like the concept of the book is absolutely awesome. I mean, I'm definitely down to read it. I didn't grow up, having the addiction to drugs, but I grew up in a drug addicted household.
I understand.
So I was constantly around stuff like that. So I understand the depression. I understand, a bunch of other stuff. And so I mean, I'd be interested in checking it out, even if I don't personally have abilities, which Morgan swears that I do. But that remains to be seen. But
well, here's the thing. I think we all do, whether we want to embrace them or not. I think it's our God-given right.
Yeah. I feel like if I do have any kind of abilities, it would probably be something precognitive, because I do have a habit of sometimes when I dream, a few weeks later, what I dreamed actually does come to pass. So, I mean, I wouldn't have any idea how to harness it though.
Yeah, it's one of those things, but it's the fact that you recognize that is huge.
So I'm really intrigued about this book. So can I ask you, during your time and travels of doing these paranormal excursions, I know that you go to a lot of para fairs and paracons and stuff.
Yep.
When you were first asked to do a speaking event at one of these, right? How nervous were you?
Oh man, so I'm not gonna lie, dude. Every single time I do a gallery reading, every single time I talk in front of a crowd, I'm borderline shitting my pants.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Dude, no, not at all. I am terrified. I'm absolutely scared out of my wits. And I hope to the universe that it works out and that I don't sound like an idiot. But yeah, man, I get scared every time, never, without failure. People are like, you've been doing this for 8 years now. Why are you still nervous? I'm like, I don't know, man. It just scares the daylights out of me.
I think it's the being up in front of other people factor.
For sure.
Because like for me, I will chain smoke 4 cigarettes before I go up on a speaking event. Because I'm just sitting there, I'm like, I know it's about that time. Yeah, because like at Maine, I think I snuck off and smoked like 6 in a row, something like that. And I mean, but I don't know what I was nervous for, because I knew it was going to go well. It always does. But it's one of those things. It's just the natural human. You're getting up in front of these people. You don't know what kind of questions they're going to ask when you open it up for questions. You don't know what kind of comments you're going to get. Right. And some of the questions that I've heard are just so off the wall that you're like, that's a damn good question. I'm not sure how to answer this, but you got to come up with something.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
But it's fun though, man. I love those networking events. We get to go out. You get to meet awesome people. I got to meet you, which I knew you previously through Adam.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I mean, going out, and doing these events, it's really fun. And people who don't attend these events, they miss out. I understand if you can't make the drive or whatever, but if you're in the area, I mean, just stopping in and checking it out could change your whole perspective on things.
Agreed, 100%, man. Agreed.
And I feel like so many people miss out on that opportunity because they're just like, well, it's a paranormal thing. I'm not into that. I mean, you don't have to be into it. There's a lot of people there selling all kinds of different stuff. Absolutely. I mean, and just the conversations you can have.
Yeah. And maybe you'll find somebody that clicks with the same vibe as you. And then all of a sudden a whole new world opens up for you. It's like Aladdin, a whole new world.
Right. Right. So in your time of doing your mediumship, right, have you ever come across something, because I know we're getting to the spiritualist ministry stuff soon, and we'll talk about the Reiki stuff soon as well. Sure. So during your time of doing this, have you ever come in contact with something that has been attached to somebody that was difficult to remove or didn't want to be removed?
That is interesting. So not really. I can't say that I have. I've come across people that ask me if they have attachments, and honestly, that's not my strength. Like, I really don't. know if I'm able to pick up on that sort of thing. But like,
Fair.
Sometimes an attachment could also be a loved one that's really just chirping in their ear really hard, being like, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. And then their own free will is fighting that. So it seems like there's some backlash. You know what I'm saying?
Interesting.
It could be those cases. There absolutely could be cases where there's, some gnarly spirit that's like, nope, you're fresh for the picking. I'll go after you. You know what I mean?
I would be hard pressed to use the D word for that, but
yeah, same.
yeah, I hate that word. Like I try to avoid it as much as possible.
Me too, man. And I agree that there are higher vibrations and lower vibrations. You know what I mean? And yes. I think that words like angels would describe higher vibrations that may not have been earthbound. I think that lower vibrational energies could be described as demons that were not earthbound as well. We don't really know. I can't sit here and say, yes, angels exist. I can also not sit here and say, yes, demons exist. But what I can tell you
here and say ghosts exist.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't be a medium if I said ghosts didn't, right?
I tried to trick you on that one.
Good try.
I was curious what you were going to say to that. I mean, I will sit here and tell you that I'm on the fence of whether or not ghosts exist. I'm not sure if what we're contacting is actually ghosts or if we're just in the perfect place at the perfect time to experience some form of time slip where we're communicating in someone in another frame of time. That's
a very interesting point as well. Metaphysics is a very broad spectrum, right? So it could be a lot of a variance of different things. I mean, I believe that there are definitely ghosts and spirits around because of the validation that I get sometimes when I'm connecting with them. And that's what really drives it home for me is that validation sake, right? When I'm doing a reading for somebody or when I'm at a haunted location and I say, oh, it feels like there's a woman named Anne here and she died at 29 because she hung herself. And someone's like, yeah, actually there was an Anne here and she did hang herself at 29. So that to me says things like, okay, there's got to be some sort of something going on.
What's up, Thomas?
What's that?
Oh, I said, what's up to Thomas? Thomas Gormley just popped in.
What's going on, brother?
So got to ask you this one, too, because I know a lot of people, they claim to, after they go out and they investigate these places for 8-9 hours, they claim they have what's called the paranormal hangover, right? After you do these events and you do all these different readings for people and such, do you feel that energy drain similar to what people would feel with a paranormal hangover?
Oh, man, 100%. After like a full day of readings or after a gallery reading, I'm pooped. I'm so tired. And it drains me fully. And I've actually talked to other mediums about this and been like, hey, is this common? Is this normal? And I've gotten mixed comments. One person said, yeah, totally. You are using your energy and expending that, and that will absolutely drain you. Other mediums say no, because the energy that you get when you're connecting with loved ones is that of positivity and love and light, right? So why would that be a drain or a hindrance on you? Yeah,
true.
Me personally, I connect with loved ones and people that and that can validate. Like, that's my job. That's my thing. It's what I do. But it still drains the fuck right out of me, dude. I'm just so spent. I'm so tired.
Interesting. Because that's kind of like the consensus that I've heard about. It's almost like a 25% say they don't experience that, and the other 75% say that they do.
Right. So, I envy that 25% for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So, out of all the locations that you've visited throughout your time of doing this, has there ever been a spot that you've been to that was like your overall favorite location you've ever visited?
Oh, man, what a good question. Well, yeah, I can say probably Fort Knox in Maine. I am so drawn to that place. I'm also,
not been there yet.
Dude, it's like it calls to you. It's so weird. It's like, I remember when I first went there and I was doing a paranormal investigation. I was just talking to the team and I was like, hey, it's 207 Paranormal that has that's like their kind of haunt. That's their location. They go there all the time and they do events there. I'm a part of that team, but when I wasn't, I said, hey, do you have room for a medium on your team? And they were a room full of skeptics. They were like, nah, I don't know, man. And then they saw me do a gallery reading and they were like, dude, yeah, we got to get you here. We got to get you at the fort. Nice. And so I became a member of the team. I love those guys. They are great. But yeah, Fort Knox, they just called to me. Like, there's a beauty about it. There's just something about it that just draws you in. So I'd have to go with that.
I've been drawn to that place ever since I saw pictures of it the first time. When I first moved up here to New Hampshire, I started compiling. You remember me telling you I knocked Wilson off my bucket list last Friday?
Yes. Yeah.
And I have a whole bucket list of places up here in the Northeast, like Fort Independence, and other places like that I've just not had a chance to see yet. Fort
Yep.
Knox, I think, was number 4 on that list, and I knew about that place because there was actually a paranormal TV show that filmed there once or twice,
Yeah.
and the place just looked awesome.
Yeah. It's
And
super cool, man. All the corridors are like dark and spooky, and there's hidden places that you didn't even know existed. Like there's these catacombs that we just found like 2 years ago, and there's big open like cathedral style floors underneath the whole thing that you would never know existed because they're hidden behind some boarded off window that you literally have to use a makeshift bridge to get across and go into, and then you have to crawl through a hole like this big and just sliver down inside, and then it opens up. It's wild.
You know what's weird? That seems to be a common thing in these older style forts. So when I lived in Alabama, I went down to St. Augustine, Florida, and I investigated the Castillo de San Marcos.
Killer.
And
that's awesome.
That place was amazing. Well, they recently had found this extra catacomb style room where they had 2 bodies that were chained to the wall.
Oh shit.
And the hole to get into it was like 3.5 feet by 3.5 feet. You had to get on your hands and knees and stomach and kind of wrestle through it. But yeah, I don't know why that's such a common thing in places like that.
I don't know. Maybe it was the sign of the times, or maybe it was just something that they had to. I don't know. Maybe it's part of the architecture. The design of the whole buildings. I'm not sure, because like I've been to St. Augustine. That place is beautiful. Not to investigate, but just through there. I toured with a band years ago, and I was we ended up in St. Augustine. But yeah.
Well, I hope you at least got to see the lighthouse.
I did. I got to see that. That was cool.
The lighthouse is amazing. The old jail there was cool. I think the Madame Tussauds Wax Museum is closed now.
Okay.
I don't believe it's open anymore. And they have the Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum, which is always fun to go visit.
That is I always love going there. I went to one in Arizona, and it was cool.
Oh, they're so interesting, the stuff that they have in there.
Yeah.
The one in St. Augustine has this pictures, almost like a full-size painting style. It's made of red and black licorice, and it's a picture of Freddy Krueger.
That's cool.
It looks so realistic. When I first saw it, I was like, that's an awesome painting. And I walked over like, wait a minute, it's made of licorice?
Yeah, what the hell?
It's so cool, though. It's so awesome to see. So
that's far out.
And out of these places that you've been, have you ever had one of those moments that just kind of like made you jump out of your skin a little bit? Like, that, oh, I just about shit my pants moment.
Yep. So I can think of 2 right off the bat. One was at the Conjuring House in Rhode Island. I was there one time. Have you ever been there, the Conjuring House?
I have not yet.
All right, fair enough. But there's multiple floors. So you go up to the second floor, and there's this tiny little staircase right by the kitchen. You go up, and it leads up to the bedrooms, right? I was at the top of the staircase, and I stopped at the top. Everybody else was downstairs. They were still kind of doing the orientation and things like that. I was just kind of walking around, getting a feel for the place. I ended up going Facebook Live, and in the middle of it, I was like, "Hey, everybody! I'm at the Conjuring House," and all of a sudden, boom! Like something just like kicked my leg out from under me, and I hit every fucking stair on the way down. Boom, 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 boom. And yeah, it was bad. I was like, and at the bottom, everyone's like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" I'm just like, I think so. Oh God.
Ask me in 10 minutes.
Yeah. Let me catch my breath, and then I'll let you know if I'm okay or not.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, dude, it was awful. And like I said, something pushed me. It's the best way I can describe it. Something kicked my leg out or pushed me or something, because I was just standing there, and I was perfectly still, just getting ready to go Facebook Live, and boom.
That's crazy.
So that jumped me out of my skin pretty good. That freaked me out. And then the second time was at Penhurst Asylum.
Another place I've not had to.
Oh man. So boy, I hope you can get in there before things change. I've heard some things, but
I've heard things.
Fingers crossed that they keep it going. But I was standing in a hallway again. It's always by myself. I don't know why things happen to me by myself. Like it's always when it's like I'm the most terrified, right? But I was standing in this hallway, and I was looking down, and I was looking at these different rooms. And all of a sudden I just hear boom, 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 like someone walking and then running towards me. I couldn't see anything, but I heard it. And I was just like, whoa, holy shit. Okay. All right. I'll back off. And I get goosebumps just thinking about that. That was terrifying. I was so scared.
Yeah. That feeling of something running up on you. It's almost like instant goosebumps. The hair stands up, and you can feel it. And even if it doesn't mean you harm, you feel like it means you harm.
Yeah, I was scared, man. That freaked me out.
I had that. I had something similar like that to happen to me at Sloss Furnaces in Birmingham, Alabama, and at a long corridor, and I physically heard the footsteps running up.
Yeah,
and I saw nothing, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on here, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
But Yeah, that's never fun. So Thomas said, Chris, heard you were doing a big gallery event with Patty in Connecticut this month.
That's absolutely right. On the 21st, I am doing a gallery event with Patty Griffin. She is an amazing medium. And it's funny, we met in Connecticut at the Paracon there. Thank you,
Nice.
Thomas and Charles, for hosting that one.
Oh, that was
Much
so fun. That was
appreciated.
so fun.
That was a blast. And so I met Patty there, and she doesn't usually work with other mediums. And she just goes to me, she says, I really feel like we need to work together. So I was like, well, let's do it. And so we are doing that on the October 21st in Connecticut. Tickets are on my personal Facebook page. I believe Thomas shared it as well. So definitely hope that people can grab tickets and come to that event. It's going to be really fun.
I have to go and check out your page so I can share that out for you as well. I mean, I personally,
Thank you,
I
brother.
avoid Connecticut as much as possible. Fuck Hartford. Hartford sucked. But yeah, so I avoid Connecticut as much as possible.
I don't blame
But
you. I don't blame you.
But I'd rather, you know what though? I'd almost rather go to Connecticut than Boston.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to choose the lesser of two evils there. But
Yeah.
so, have you ever been to an event and just, I don't know, felt like even though they asked you to be there, it was almost like you felt uncomfortable being there? Because I've had that happen to me before.
Like a Paracon or something?
Yeah.
Well, so I, yes, I have. This happened more early on when I first started going to fairs. They weren't paranormal fairs. All the paranormal fairs, I have to say, have been amazing. People
Yeah,
have been
so
so
far.
nice and kind, and I am truly grateful for that. But it was actually at a spiritualist convention or a spiritualist, type of thing. There was a gentleman that, so there's a little backstory. There's a place called Camp Etna up in Maine. And there's
Okay.
also a place called the Etna Spiritualist Church. Two
I've heard of
different
that.
things. Yeah. So two different places, two different organizations, both at odds with each other. I had met somebody who was affiliated with Camp Etna. Before he knew that I was affiliated with the Spiritualist Church, we were buddies. We were cool. He's like, we got to get you to the camp. We got to be, friends. We got to talk, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, that's great. The next time I saw him, and after he found out I was affiliated with the Spiritualist Church, which he didn't like, I walked up to him and I was like, oh, hey, how's it going, man? Good to see you. And he literally turned his back to me and went like this and like turned around and faced the other way. I was like, all right, like, cool, I guess.
Right.
I was like, that's what a dickhead move,
Right.
So that was the one time that I can remember very specifically someone being like blatantly rude. But like, no, the Paracons have been amazing. Like I said, I've met so many wonderful people, had amazing conversations, and I've truly been blessed for that. So,
Yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed every one I've gotten the chance to go to this year. My con season ends in Salem this year. I don't take anything during the winter because I don't like the snow. So
yeah, you and me both.
even if there's anything going on in the winter, I will probably decline it because I don't do the snow.
Fair enough.
So yeah, let's get on to that. Since you were talking about the spiritualist church, right? You're a spiritualist. You're a spiritual minister, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
So what exactly is that, and what do you do with that?
So I'll tell you, I'm not the greatest spiritualist minister anymore because I don't do church services. I don't really. I believe in the principles of spiritualism, right? I believe that that they embrace and they definitely endorse mediumship, which I love. They embrace love, they embrace light. They do work with angels, things like this. I'm an independent spiritualist minister. So there's the place that I went to, they talk of anything metaphysical. There are some spiritualist churches that are like, unless it's from spirit, it's invalid.
Okay.
So there's a difference, right? But like I said, I really got into it because like I wanted to learn more about the topic of spiritualism and the history and the whole things about it. And two, because like I said, they embraced mediumship. And that just really felt like something I was drawn to do. Now, the reason why I say I'm not the greatest spiritualist minister anymore is because, like I said, I don't go to the churches. I don't do services anymore. I personally think if you're going to have a connection with a higher power or God, whatever you want to call it, the universe, go and sit on the edge of a beach and meditate, or go out into the woods and just chill by yourself. You know what I mean? Or, be connected in that way.
I agree with that because back when I was a Baptist, I never really ever went to church. I mean, I'm a occultist now. Technically, I'm a Wiccan, but
sure,
I never believed in having to go to church because I felt like for me, the relationship is what mattered, not the amount of time spent in the building.
100%, 100%. Absolutely. It's your individual relationship with a higher power, the universe, whatever you want to call it. It has nothing to do with anybody else's opinion or what they feel on the matter. It's what you feel inside that matters, in my opinion.
I agree with that 100%. And also, you're a Reiki master teacher, correct?
That's correct.
So, my girlfriend does Reiki. She's tried to explain it to me many times. I get the overall concept.
Sure.
But it still confuses me from time to time because, I don't partake in it. I'm not exactly sure exactly what it is. So for anyone out there that's watching the show right now that has no idea what Reiki is or how it works, could you explain that for us?
Sure. So my understanding of Reiki is the knowledge and the ability to heal and work with the chakra system, right? There's 7 or 8, I believe. You got your crown, you got your third eye, your throat chakra, you got your heart chakra, sacral, solar plexus, the orange one, which I always forget. I think it's called sacral. Maybe I already said that. I don't know. Like I said, I'm terrible at that. And then there's your root
one. I'm good with that.
Yeah, the orange one. Yeah. And then the bottom was your root chakra, right? Each one of these things tells a story, right? And each one of them can be a little off balance. Reiki works with the energies of the hands, as well as your own personal energy, the energy of spirit. So it allows for healing to happen throughout those chakras, right? Okay. Say it's emotional healing that you need in your heart chakra. Somebody could place their hands over there, feel that there's an imbalance, and then use the universe and their own energy to heal those things and get those chakras back on track, right? Get them moving in a proper direction.
So does that make sense? Like healing through energy movement.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. And there's also, so like when I was first learning Reiki, I found it really interesting because, say somebody is afraid to speak about a certain topic. I could as a psychic or a psychic medium rather, I could look at that throat chakra and say, okay, maybe you're afraid to talk to your mom about the fact that you don't want to take this job that she wants you to have, but you don't want. And maybe give them advice on how to navigate that as best they can. Right. So it's also healing through our hands. It's also healing through our words and advice that we can give to kind of help people figure out what's going on within their chakra system. Does that make sense?
Interesting. No, it does. That's very interesting because like I said, I've never actually had anyone do Reiki on me before. I'd be interested to give it a shot at some point just to see what happens because
it's really cool. It's fun.
I'm an over curious kind of guy, so
yeah.
I missed that comment there. Thank you. Oh yeah, you can transfer energy as well. I have heard that.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. Transfer your own energy through that work to help other people, to help heal other people.
Yeah. So that's a good point. So when you go to these, whenever you go to these parafairs, right? And I know that a lot of times you sit down, you do a lot of one-on-ones and stuff, right?
Yeah.
I am sure at times that you get messages from someone's loved ones that have passed that are more than difficult to relay as far as like emotionally.
Yeah.
How do you handle that? Like, how do you present that message knowing that it could have an adverse reaction for the person that's sitting down for the reading?
So that's a really good question too, man. So what I do is I trust that spirit knows what's best for the person sitting across from me, right? Yes, obviously, when things come through, it is a very highly intense and emotional subject because these are people that have passed away. These are people that you miss and that you love and that you want back. One thing I can say is most of the time hearing from people through validation allows for healing to take place or allows for closure to take place, right? Okay. So that's how I kind of navigate that. There are times where people get very emotional, but afterwards they say, hey, I really needed that. That really helped me a lot. So I just put the intention into the universe before every reading and everything like that. And the work that I do just to say, okay, this is for their highest good. This is for their healing. This is for closure, and I use those verbiage with the universe because the more language you use with the universe, the more it understands the assignment. Does that make sense?
Interesting. It does.
So if I was just to say if I was to say, okay, I want to read for this person and I want someone to come through. Thank you, universe, for allowing me to do that. That might not be enough. The universe needs to hear, I need validation. I need confirmation. I need, dates, names, times, things like this. I really spell it out for the universe as to what I want out of a reading in hopes that comes through, if that makes sense.
It does. Right? It makes perfect sense.
And honestly, maybe it's because I'm a recovering Catholic. I don't know. But I use things that I call prayers, But what I do before readings is like, thank you for the validation. Thank you for the comfort. Thank you for the healing. And I thank their loved ones and I thank the universe for that.
I like it. I
Yeah.
like it. Yeah, that was a really good answer, actually. It's like I said, I've always been kind of curious as to how when a psychic at one of these events, they get a message that could be difficult to deliver, how they actually, can figure out the words to say, if that makes sense.
It absolutely does. And there are times when I get caught up on my own words. Just recently in Pennsylvania, I was doing a reading for a gentleman. He was a veteran, right? A buddy of his came through who died in a very tragic way. I said how he passed, but I was like, this is needed to be said, because if I didn't say how and I didn't say the exact kind of things, he'd have been like, well, maybe he's not really connecting. You know what I mean? It's the validation that really sunk it home for him. And he was like, shit, there's no way that you could have known that unless my buddy told you that.
Right.
So that's kind of what I have to think about as well. Sometimes it gets hard for me not to be emotional, and that's the most difficult part of it all.
Right. And that's what that was good. Actually, with my next question, is there ever been a reading you've done that's just made you emotional?
Oh, absolutely. So I will share this one. I was doing a gallery reading at this one location, and there was a gentleman who his son and his wife came through who had passed away in a plane accident. Unfortunately, he was flying the plane, right? And it crashed, and he was able to escape the plane, and his wife and son were not able to. And he had to watch them pass away.
Oh, man.
All this stuff came up in front of like 60 people, and I'm like, holy fuck. Like I could feel his emotion. His son kept saying, please tell my dad how brave I was. Please tell my dad how brave I was. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, like this is so heavy. Right. But again, he came up to me afterwards and said, thank you so much. That meant the world to me. I'm glad to know that my son was brave in his final moments.
So we're doing these events. I know that you meet a lot of other people who are psychics, mediums, clairvoyants, you name it. You probably met one of the types.
Sure.
So can I ask you, because I've seen it before myself personally at some of these events, when people get up there and they do gallery readings, and I find it completely disgusting when people cold read. Where like they ask questions, kind of like leading you on.
Yeah.
To get the answer they want. Like,
yep. Yeah, I don't buy into that either. So it's so funny because like some people call cold readings where it's like where you go into it and you know nothing, and then I say, well, isn't that what you want?
No. When I say cold read to an event, that's what I mean. When I say cold read to like a location, you're saying exactly what I mean.
Okay.
So cold read at a location for me would be going in knowing nothing. Cold reading at an event is someone kind of like gilding the questions. I know there's another way to word it. I just can't think of what the actual terminology is.
I think I know what you mean, where they say something like, oh, would you have lost a mother?
Yes.
And then they're like, oh, well, no, I didn't. Well, then it must be a grandmother, that type of thing, right?
Yes.
So yes, I do kind of cringe when I see things like that, yeah. That's the best way I can say it. When I see things like that happen, I'm like, dude, a psychic or a medium is not supposed to ask you. They are supposed to tell you, in my opinion. I am not there to ask you questions. I'm there to tell you what spirit is telling me.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I mean, people just paid, what, $45, $50 sometimes to go in and sit down to these gallery readings, and you're the one sitting up there asking them questions instead of telling them the information that you should already be receiving.
Correct. And actually, I will preface this by I think every single time I preface every gallery reading or reading, whether it's one-on-one or in front of a crowd, I'll say the only questions I am going to ask you are, does that make sense? Or do you know what they're talking about?
Fair. And those are completely fair questions. You're not asking about personal aspects.
Right.
You're not trying to pull information. You're not, sitting there asking misleading questions to someone who may not realize that they're giving you an answer, or giving that person an answer to a question that they want to relay a message from. If 100%. That makes sense.
It does make total sense. And I will say too that like if I bring through a father figure for somebody and I say, hey, I have a father figure here. He passed away from cancer. He battled it for 5 years, etc. And then they start saying, oh yeah, and his name was this and blah 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 blah, and his hobbies were that. I'll be like, whoa, time out. Stop what you're doing. Don't tell me anything. Like, stop telling me shit. Like, for validation's sake, it's my job to tell you. Like, I put a stop to that.
You have no idea how, when me and Morgan practice, I'll find a location or a person. I won't tell her who it is. I print out all the information and we do it over the phone.
Cool.
And sometimes what will happen is I find myself slipping up and I start giving information and she's like, no, stop, stop.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't want to hear that.
yeah, 100%, man. And it's like, because she's legit, she's doing it for the right reasons and she's doing it for real. You know what I mean? And people that will do the exact same thing. Stop telling me stuff. I'm here to tell you stuff.
Right. And I found the whole aspect of it amazing. Like for me, I can't understand. And I know it's from spirit. I know it's from, wherever the messages are coming from. But it's astounding to me how people can receive this information because, there's so many people out there that they can't.
Right.
And it's so weird to me. It's like, you heard the story about me and Morgan on the USS Salem when we got off the ship, and a few days later I sent her a message and asked her how much of it she Googled.
Right.
I mean, because she was spot on a lot of stuff. And pretty much from what I've found out so far, I'm digging through the Wilson Castle history now that I've been there. And for the next time I go, I want to have a much better understanding of the building. And she's hit pretty spot on a few of the other things she picked up that I noted down. So
that's awesome.
So I do the same thing. I do not like yep. So Ashley Merrill said I do the same thing. I do not like information about places when I'm investigating.
Yes. Yep.
Or reading, I think she said. But
yep.
But no, it's insane to me. So another question for you, and since we were talking about these earlier, these pendulum boards, right? Do you think they work better with someone who has abilities compared to someone who doesn't? Or do you think it's the intention input into the pendulum itself?
I think it's the intention put into it. Like I said, I think that we all have the ability to connect on a spiritual level and on an energetic level. I think that like whether you embrace it or it is in you. It is in there, right? Like I said, it's our God-given right, in my opinion. Like you have abilities that you may not know about. You know what I mean? You could be a medium, you could be a psychic. It's how far do you want to delve into it, right?
Right.
But to answer your question about those, I think that it could be a little bit of both. Right. I think that a person who does not claim to have psychic abilities could absolutely use them and get answers because that is an energetic force coming through. Spirit will make it go towards yes if they want to say yes, or no, they're going to use those tools to speak to you because that's how they know they're able to speak to you. Same thing with somebody with abilities. If somebody with abilities is like, they're using a pendulum and they say, hey, I need you to show me a yes. You know what I mean? They have more of, I'm not going to say a clear link because, like I said, we all have that link. But
right,
I don't know. Maybe their knowledge of the spirit communication is such where they can word it to spirit in a way that allows them to use the pendulum properly. Does that make sense?
Fair. No, that does. So I can tell you, I know exactly what my ability is. My can't remember shit is superhuman. That is what my ability is.
That's your superpower.
Oh, that most definitely. I will literally, you can ask Morgan next time you see her. Sometimes when she's here, I'll go downstairs, come back up the stairs because I forgot what I went downstairs for. Remember what I went downstairs for, go back down the stairs and forget by the time I got to the bottom of the stairs what I went down the stairs for.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I do the same thing. I'm not sure how old you are, but I'm not sure if it's an age thing or what, but
I'm 39.
30, yeah, so I'm 40, so same thing.
So maybe it's not just me then.
No. I will literally be like, oh man, I'm hungry. I'll go downstairs, look for something to eat. I'll literally be at the fridge. I'll stare at the fridge and be like, what the hell am I staring at the fridge for? And be like, oh yeah, I'm fucking hungry.
Morgan said my CRS is definitely my superpower.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because I went downstairs twice last weekend to refill my water bottle. Refilled the water bottle, sat it on the table, went to the bathroom, and came upstairs without it. And then by the time I hit the bottom of the stairs, I forgot what I was going back downstairs for.
Oh man, that's a riot.
No, it sucks. I hate the staircase. I cannot stand this staircase. The third step from the top is 3/4 of an inch shorter than the rest of them.
Oh man, so you really got to pay attention.
So if you don't step just right, you hit that ball of your foot where it rolls, and you're going down. I went down the staircase so many times.
Oh, that's rugged.
I broke my foot the first time I went down it.
Oh shit, that's not fun. It
was not.
No, not at all.
So have you ever had an opportunity, or I'm not going to say have you had the opportunity because I'm sure you've had the opportunity. Do people ever bring you objects to read, objects that they think have energy attached to them?
On occasion, that is so psychometry, right? I'm sure you've heard that term.
From my understanding, psychometry, though, is having to touch the object. I'm talking about reading the energy coming off the object, without
Oh,
touching.
so like not actually physically touching it?
Correct.
Well, so not so much in readings, in personal readings. People don't generally do that. But I have had incidences like Cody and Satori,
Yep.
their traveling thing. I met them on or I didn't meet them there, but I saw them on the USS Salem years ago during a Para Expo, and they had their haunted stuff. And they said, "What can you pick up off a certain doll or whatever?" And so I kind of read the doll a little bit and the energy that was coming off of it. But yeah, so different than psychometry is. So yeah, but not very often. I don't find that people generally have that. Sometimes during readings, I will pick up on things that they have on them that belong to a loved one who's passed. Like say they are carrying somebody's purple heart. I'll say, yeah, they're talking about a medal that you have, or maybe it's a purple heart that you have. And then they'll pull it out of their pocket and say, this one. I'm like, that's the one,
That would be what I was talking about.
or I'll say something like, like I remember one time I was like, yeah, your brother's coming through and he says that you made a ring with his ashes infused into it. And the girl literally holds up her hand and there's a ring with ashes infused in it. I'm like, so
I mean,
things like that happen.
If anyone questions your abilities beforehand and they sit down and you say something like that and they're like, well, how do you question that now?
I don't know. Yeah, well, I hope not, right? But dude, there are some people that are so skeptical. Literally, I was talking to David Childress about this actually. I literally went to this guy. I read for him. I said, look, your dad's coming through. He drove a green pickup truck. It was a standard transmission. The second gear would always stick. There was a crucifix hanging from the rearview mirror, and he was always adjusting it all the time, right? And he's like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think that checks out. And I'm like, well, what about what I said is wrong? He goes, well, you said it was a green truck. It was a red truck. So you're wrong. And I'm like, everything else made sense. He's like, well, yeah, but you didn't get the color of the truck wrong or right. And I was like, oh, come on, dude. Really?
You would be shocked because I'm a very black and white guy. Like I don't believe in gray areas.
That's fair too.
And that's where it kind of becomes difficult for me. However, here's the thing. I feel like I could have overlooked the color if everything else was right.
Well, that's what I'm saying, dude. Like, and I was like, did the second gear always stick on him? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, did he have the crucifix hanging from the rear view? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, was he always fiddling with it? And he's like, well, yeah. And I'm like, you're killing me. You're killing me, dude. Absolutely fucking killing me.
that would have been one of those you're killing me, Smalls.
Right, exactly.
One of those moments.
100%.
But yeah, so I mean, if you have 95% of it right and you're just off on the color, I mean, that's pushing it a little bit.
But some people, man, they really need you to be that dialed in. And I'm not saying I am that all the time, right? There are times when I go into readings where like maybe nothing comes through, maybe not as much comes through. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that like I am nailing it all the time, but I try my best to get more than just a little bit.
Thanks, Chris. I'm gonna kick myself in the ass next time me and Morgan practice. she just made a comment because I said, the color of the truck, you missed that one thing. I could have overlooked that. And she was like, just remember that next time we practice.
Oh, I see it. Yeah. I'm not sorry.
I am such a stickler for like minute details.
Well, you should be. You know what I mean? Like you said, you're a skeptic, right? And I fully respect and appreciate that. I think that everybody should be skeptical of psychic work and mediumship until they experience it and it validates for them something that makes sense, right? But if somebody, sits down with you and it doesn't make sense, then sure, be skeptical of it, right?
Right, but I also know my limitations of the skepticism to where I have to overlook the skepticism and be like, there's something here that I cannot physically explain, or there's something here that is just outside of the realm of my understanding.
Sure. Yep, I understand that. There's also information that I might bring up that you might not be able to validate in the moment. And then 2 or 3 days later, you're like, oh, shit, like, I can't even think. I didn't even think of that. I read for a woman at a gallery. Her 2 daughters were sitting next to her. I said, ma'am, I didn't know this prior, but I was like, yeah. I was like, Spirit's telling me that you have kids. She goes, yeah. She's like, no. I'm like, they say you have 2 daughters. She goes, no, I don't have any of that. And her daughters were like, Mom, what the fuck? And she's like, oh, my daughters. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, of course. They're right next to me. Right. So yeah, I call it psychic amnesia. Like people just get so wrapped up in the moment. They forget these little details,
Interesting. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, I call it psychic amnesia. Like I said, they get so wrapped into the emotion or the heat of the moment where they forget these minute details. Or like, so for example, I said to somebody, okay, your husband's coming through. He says you spent some time in New York, right? And she goes, well, it was just a day. And I'm like, that is some time.
That's some time.
Right. So you have people that do that too. So mediumship is a hard thing, man, especially when the other person does things like that.
Right. And I mean, even if you're just driving through a state, that's still some time that you were there. Yeah, stuff like that is really interesting.
Well, if she had said we only drove through, I'd say, well, maybe that's not it. But I was like, they actually spent the night there. And I was like, well, that counts for me,
Yeah, that should definitely count.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So along with feeling these energies, right? Do you ever, on occasion, are you able to see spirit as well, or no?
On occasion, I can. So, like we talked about the clairs earlier, right?
Yep.
When I was doing my like coming up in all this and learning more about the clairs and learning more about how to train myself as a medium, one of the things I was taught was to blend them together, right? So sometimes I can feel what I'm seeing, or sometimes I can smell what I know. Or sometimes I can see what someone is telling me. Does that make sense? Like someone says apple, yes, and I can see an apple in my mind, or like someone says tennis elbow and I'm like, my arm starts to hurt, So I kind of blend them together a little bit. Does that answer your question?
It does. And you speaking of your arm hurting, it's almost like in a way, and I don't know why this made this click in my head. I told you I go off on pig trails sometimes. I call it pig trail. But like how twins have that kind of like energy connection where if one of them gets hurt, the other one, even if they're 100 miles away, can sometimes physically feel it or know that something is wrong.
Yeah, 100%. It's funny. You ever seen the movie The Corsican Brothers with Cheech and Chong? It was an old movie.
I cannot say I have.
It talks about that same issue. So one of them feels each other's pain, and they actually get into a fight where they're beating each other up, and they're like, "Ow, ow!" But yeah, check it out. It's called The Corsican Brothers. It's hilarious.
I'd be interested to see that. I mean, I was a huge fan of Cheech and Chong. I wasn't even a smoker, and I like Cheech and Chong. It's just a funny movie.
Yeah, dude, and it's those guys. It's funny.
That is awesome. So whenever you go into these locations, right? Do you have I guess you would call it, and I think we discussed this at Wilson, but I feel like it's important to discuss, okay?
Sure.
You have a protection style thing that you do for yourself personally before you go into these locations and start doing these readings, right?
100%. Yep. So I have some physical objects that I carry with me. Like, I don't know if you saw, I was wearing a stone bracelet. It's got hematite and tiger's eye on it. I made it myself with the intention of protecting myself from both psychic energy and negative energy. So if a spirit wants to do like a psychic kind of attack or whatever, or some kind of thing like that, I'm protected in that fashion. And the hematite also protects me from negative entities as well. Right. We talked about twins. I was born a triplet. Unfortunately, my two brothers passed in utero. So I work with them on a spiritual level and just say, hey, from the other side, please protect me from anything that I can't protect from myself. You know what I mean? Any spiritual energy that is coming at me that means me harm, please protect me from that. I call on my loved ones, and that sort of thing. So I do that before I go into things like that.
I mean, I think that's a very important aspect that a lot of people, they overlook when they go and do stuff like this, because they're not protecting themselves spiritually and sometimes not even physically, because they're going into these abandoned locations. You don't know if there's a homeless dude on crack in there.
Exactly.
I mean, always do your research and walk through the building if it's daylight, if at all possible, with a few other people before you just go running in there.
For sure.
Like for me, I typically will ground and center before and after.
Yep.
Every investigation, just because for me, it makes me feel safe. I know some people, they'll say a prayer beforehand. They'll say a prayer after, or they do the typical, when you go to leave the building, if there was an energy that was attracted to me, you're not allowed to follow. You have to stay here. And I feel like doing all of these different things, protecting yourself is very important when it comes to this. And I think it gets overlooked quite often.
I agree with you. And like I said, I do the same thing at the end of investigations. You are not allowed to follow me home. You are meant to stay here. This is your place. This is your location. Leave me and my family and my energy out of it, right? You have to stay here. You are not welcome to come with me. So that's part of it as well. But I think, like you said, I think more of that needs to be set in place, and that would also eliminate a lot of people's feelings of like getting drained or getting attachments and things like this.
Agreed. I agree with that 100%. Oh, Chris, I see that we got almost 3 minutes left. So, wow, that hour went by quick.
I
But
know, right?
so before I get to my last three standard questions that I have that I ask every guest,
Sure.
where can people find you at? Do you have anything planned for next year coming up already, or where can people find you at if they want to connect with you?
So if people want to find me, they can connect with me at my Facebook page. My personal page is just Christopher J. Brown right on Facebook. You could also go to my mediumship page, which is Psychic Medium Christopher. Make sure you see the blue check mark. I have been scammed so many friggin' times recently. That's why I got the blue check mark. Like, it is staggering. People were making fake accounts, fake appointments with people. Like, it was bad.
What?
Yeah, dude. And it made me so furious. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to get the blue check mark. That way people know it's me.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, make sure that you, and I'll also have, like, there's reviews that I have that, have people that have had worked with me. So that's also going to be on my legit page. So keep an eye on that. You can also go to my website, which is www.psychicmediumchristopher.com. So you can check out events that are coming up. You can check out a little bio or whatever. But yeah, the best way to get a hold of me, I would say, is either go to my website or go to my Facebook page.
Awesome. So where can people find your first book?
They can find that right on Amazon as of right now, or they can, if they're at a Paracon, I'm selling them right at Paracon. So
sweet. So go to the Paracons, just meet them in person. It's worth the trip.
That's right. Save money on shipping. Just get it from me directly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
so
then if people want, they can do whatever they want with it. Like I said, they don't have to pay shipping. They don't have to deal with all the bullshit. They can get it right then and there.
Right, and it's so much more convenient.
Absolutely.
It honestly is. So At the end of every show, I ask my guests 3 questions, and one of them is a multi-part. So, First question. Everyone in the paranormal has a bucket list. What location is at the top of your bucket list?
So this might be an odd thing to say, but the bucket list thing for me, and I don't even know if it's really haunted or if there's any paranormal connection to it, but I want to go to the Roman Colosseum in Italy, because the amount of death and the amount of energy that must be in that place would be staggering, and just the history of it all. So, like, for me, the Roman Colosseum in Italy has got to be top tier.
I think that's a great choice. Pompeii's on mine. So
Hell yeah.
I think that's an excellent choice. All right, so we got the Roman Colosseum. You could choose one person, alive or dead. They do not have to be involved in the paranormal, that you can bring with you to investigate the Colosseum. Who are you taking and why?
Oh, man. Dan Aykroyd. Straight up.
So I'm pretty sure I already know the why, but why?
He has been into the paranormal since he was a little kid. He has had like seances and mediums come to his house all through growing up. He is way into the paranormal. I mean, Ghostbusters was, yes, a cool movie and awesome that he was in, but he was in it. Like he that was part of his experience in growing up, like being around ghosts and spirits and things like that. So I think if anybody was to appreciate that on that level, would definitely be Dan Aykroyd. And like I said, I don't know, I like his movies.
I like it. And if I'm not mistaken, his father was into the paranormal as well.
I believe so. Yeah. I think they, like I said, his family has a long history of just being involved in that sort of thing. And I don't know if you would ask me if they had to be famous or not. So
don't have to be.
My answer might've changed, but
no, didn't have to be famous.
All right. So I went there. I went with Dan Aykroyd, but yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. So we got the Colosseum. You're bringing Dan Aykroyd. So you can only bring one piece of equipment with you, and only one, not including your psychic abilities. You still have those as a side tool.
All right.
Because those are natural. You have them. You can bring one piece of equipment with you. What piece of equipment are you bringing with you on this trip, and why?
Damn. Good question. Holy shit. I would have to say a REM pod, and I'll tell you why. Because I really like the fact that, one, I'm a musician, so I like the fact that it's kind of like a theremin, if you ever heard of a theremin, right?
Yep.
So I think that's kind of cool that spirits can interact with it in that way. Also, I think that there are times when REM pods are very accurate in the sense that, like, they will not go off unless something's really triggering them, right? And they also have levels. You could tell a REM pod, okay, just beep, just blip for me if you're a spirit, right? If you're coming through, and it'll boop. I've seen that happen. Or if there is a spirit here, come real close to it and make all the lights go off. And then the spirit comes close and goes nuts. So I really like the REM pod for that reason. I think a strong second would probably be a Mel meter, just because it has a little bit more of the tech side to it,
Fair. I like that answer. So we got the Coliseum with Dan Aykroyd and a REM pod. That is an absolutely great answer. I love it.
Thank you.
Chris, you're out of time, brother.
All
I
right.
appreciate you coming on, taking an hour to talk with us tonight. It was very eye-opening. I really enjoyed the conversation. Very knowledgeable guy. So
Thank you, man. Likewise, brother. It's been a pleasure talking with you. This has been a great conversation. That hour flew by real fast, I got to
it
say.
did. It did. So if you wouldn't mind just hanging out in the background for about 5 minutes, we got one
Sure.
more ad to run, and I'm going to go ahead and close the show. I just got a few follow-up questions for you.
You got it, man. I'll be there.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Guys, thank you for joining us today for this episode of the Paranormal Unveiled podcast with Christopher J. Brown, psychic medium. I feel like that conversation went absolutely amazing. I love some of the information that he presented, and I hope that you guys enjoyed the show. I will see you guys next week. Same spooky time, same spooky network.